sure it works.
I just got an OkCupid ad on the Worldometer site that's measuring the coronavirus deaths and cases.
Okay.
As an OkCupid ad.
Why are you on OkCupid?
There's an ad for OkCupid on the website.
Mm.
I'm being targeted by them, but I'm being targeted by them while on the site for coronavirus.
Okay,
So
we're live on YouTube.
I'm wondering why the marketers for OkCupid thought people on the Worldometer
We're live on Twitter. Retweet it.
retweet
Please.
what?
The Twitter.
I don't know how to use Twitter.
And we're going live
How
on
do you-
Facebook.
Hello, people.
On 3,
Hello.
2,
Hello,
1,
world.
Go.
We are broadcasting from Ground Zero. Coronavirus Ground Zero. All right. Wait, how do I don't know how to retweet
No,
stuff,
I
man.
retweeted it. We're live on Facebook. Good.
Woohoo!
I hope you can hear us.
Oh, okay. I can retweet. I know how to retweet.
You want to
Think
open
you're-
the?
think you're better than me because you can retweet stuff really fast.
Want to open the live video on our
Facebook?
Sheva?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it too.
Good. Happy to hear.
You don't
Good
sound
for you.
happy. You don't sound very happy at all.
Okay.
Wait, does it matter which page? I think
You'll
they
do.
all get the same comments now.
No, it depends on the page.
Okay. So
I'll
then
do our page.
I'll do a rich.
We're live on Arutz Sheva and the Jewish Journal and the Two Nice Jewish Boys page, and we're gonna start in a minute.
Monthly recap time.
Happy-
All right.
Livy Greenbaum says Happy Pesach.
Happy Passover, everybody. Chag Sameach. It's been a weird holiday.
Yeah.
Definitely a Passover that
don't have
is
the
not
lineup.
going to be forgotten. But we can open it. But we're here in Tel Aviv to tell you about how the coronavirus is coming along.
Just great.
How Israeli politics are
Just
going.
great.
And how, basically the world is coming to an end.
Just great.
You're not
Okay,
wearing your mask.
Here we go. What's up?
Hey, everybody. All right.
All right, here we go.
Let's get to it.
Yeah.
So, what's the situation?
Um,
When can I leave
here's
my
my
home?
mask, by the way.
When can I leave my home?
Why should you leave your home?
I mean, honestly, I didn't leave that
You still
much.
have a job. Can you take this thing off? You
No,
look like
man, I don't know when
ridiculous.
when I'll need it. You need to be ready at all times.
No.
What if
I can't take you seriously.
What if a
It's hard to
parade
take
of
you seriously as it
corona
is.
patients comes walking through the door and protected? No?
I mean, take the chances, right?
I don't know. I don't take chances, man. I don't take chances.
I don't think. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure what they worth, these masks, but we got
Mine
'em.
is definitely worth less than.
You
For the
made it
people who
from-
aren't watching, this is this is what they used in the Spanish flu in 1918. But it's not like the same model. It's actually one of the masks that they use.
yeah. It's also not your size. I think you went on an extra large.
I'm extra.
You're
extra
obviously
large.
not a C cap. You're more like an A cap.
I'm an A cup. I don't know
Cup.
where they got these, but they're definitely not very useful. It cost a lot of money too. It cost like 20 shekels, 25
Really?
shekels.
Someone's making a lot of money from this Corona thing.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
how
are you
things
still
go.
skeptic?
Yes. I'm always skeptical, man. I'll be skeptical until the day I die. I think I underestimated the seriousness of this virus, but I'm still skeptical about whether or not we're dealing with it properly.
Why?
Because it's having a very real effect on a lot of people in the world. And that's a problem.
I'll tell you what bothers me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say what we're doing here was the right thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it saved lives. Okay, but I don't see any scenario where we return to a version of our lives, maybe a different version, but a version, and like the chances that we'll fail to return to our daily lives, our jobs, without an outbreak, and going back essentially to point zero, right? To
Square one.
square
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
What then? I mean, what if they're talking about all the exit strategies right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but what if they fail?
So this is what I said from the beginning, which was that you have to remember the number one rule of social sciences is unintended consequences. And you take these actions and you don't know what effect they'll have, essentially. And so I'm not saying that a lockdown was the wrong thing to do. I don't know. But I'm just saying that there's also been this atmosphere of it's complete herd mentality, right? Everybody's talking about herd immunity, but it's herd mentality that there is one, stay the fuck home, save lives.
Hey, no,
Whatever.
cuss.
Stay the fuck home, save lives. Okay, that's what everybody's been saying. No, seriously, there's a hashtag now. Okay, so it's I'm not using curse words. I'm just
Right,
quoting.
you're quoting.
Hashtag stay home, save lives. Like as if anybody who leaves their home is a murderer. I mean, that's essentially what you're saying is that, by staying home, you're saving lives. If you leave home, you are actively
Look, if you
taking
went
life.
to Pesach with your parents and grandparents, I think you are a potential murderer.
No, you're not a murderer. And we need to be a little bit more nuanced in our language.
Unless you infected your grandparents.
You're still not a murderer if you infected your grandparent. What if you had the flu last year and you went and visited your grandmother?
It's not as deadly.
So at what percentage, at what death rate are you a murderer?
Our grandparents can vaccinate against the flu.
At what death rate are you a murderer?
I don't know.
So I don't think that everybody who
if you
shares that hashtag.
If you had 3 glasses of wine in it and then drove your grandmother home.
Yeah.
After Pesach, then and you drove her drunk or high. You're a potential murderer, right?
Yeah, because you cannot drive when you're drunk.
Okay.
You can't.
Okay. So we agreed to that.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't think that's relevant. All I'm saying is I also don't think everybody who's sharing the hashtag is calling everybody murderers for leaving their home. But I just think that there's this atmosphere of you cannot question the virtue and the intelligence of the current state of affairs and what people are, which is these drastic measures of locking everybody down in their homes, taking away a lot of civil liberties and a lot of individual freedoms in the name of saving lives. I think we need to start being a little bit more skeptical.
But people die. That's the problem with being skeptical. Lots of people die.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
easy to be skeptical here where relatively few people died. But in New York, when they have 1,000 deaths a day.
Again, I'm not saying that the lockdown, like I said, I'm not saying the lockdown was a mistake. I'm just saying that we need to be open to having more conversations. Maybe in New York and in Italy and in these very, very intense hotspots, some form of lockdown will be continue to be necessary. But I'm not sure. I mean, look, in Israel, we're seeing, and the counter argument is that because we've taken such drastic steps, then we're seeing such amazing results.
Time will tell.
And we are seeing amazing results in Israel. This will probably be one of the least deadly years, ever. Not even related to coronavirus. If counting out the second wave. Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah.
But as is,
why?
I think if you look at this winter deaths compared to last winter's deaths.
I don't know, because people don't go to hospitals. People might. We don't know really the statistics.
I don't, but nobody's dying in car crashes basically for a whole month.
That's true.
I don't know. Look, just food for thought. And I know people have been saying this, but I don't. If you can explain the difference, in this thought experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Over 1.3 million people die in the States on the roads every year. I don't understand the difference between saying, okay, well, we can save lives by staying home. Nobody leaves their house. For a month, you'll save over 100,000 lives. If we did the same thing once last year, we would have saved 100,000 lives. So I don't like.
I think it's about you have like you have the devils you know and you have the devils you don't know. Okay? And up until coronavirus, all the devils you knew summed up to an X factor, right? An X. That's what you know,
Yeah.
the X. And now you have X plus Y, and the Y is the coronavirus. And you don't know if the Y can be equal X, it can be higher than X. And I think everybody are working, relying on the hypothesis that Y is huge. The
Yeah.
potential of Y is immense. And I think we got a taste of that potential in Italy and in New York. Yeah, but we just don't know enough.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll know more. We'll know more.
We'll have to. I mean, but I am concerned about what you're saying, like going out. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah,
right?
what's going
We
to
don't-
change in a month? What's going to change in 4 months? I don't know. They bring every okay. Let's do a thought experiment here. Okay, let's say in a month they slowly, gradually they start to open workplaces. You gotta open. Here's the thing. Here's the big problem. You gotta open the kindergartens and the schools because otherwise people won't be able to go to work.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
And just to put this into context, people, Israel has over 1 million people unemployed. That is over 25% of the workforce
Yeah.
is out of a job.
Yeah. Let's say you want to
Insanity.
open a part of the workplaces, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So but you gotta open the kindergartens. Otherwise, how can the parents go to work?
Yeah.
But if you open the kindergartens and you get an outbreak in the kindergartens, then what they'll do, they'll shut down the kindergartens, right? In a city, for example.
And then they shut
And
down
then
the work.
they shut down work. Like
And
we
go
got
back.
yeah. So what's gonna happen?
And this situation is not sustainable. I mean, you could say, okay, well, let's just gradually go out over the span of what, a year, 2 years? You know, there was an article that came out about the flattening the curve,
Mm-hmm.
and he was saying that I can't remember where it was. It might have been in the Washington Post, but he was basically talking about the fact that you see all these nice little memes going around of the curve without, lockdown and the curve with a lockdown. But he said they're just illustrations. Like it's like in the economics courses. You don't actually draw the graphs to proportion, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of draw it just to give people an idea. He says if you actually draw it to proportion, flattening the curve at the current healthcare capacity, you would span the disease out over like 10 years. So flattening the curve, like that line is much lower than what it.
Now they're counting ventilators.
Okay.
Like they're relying on beds and ventilators. But now some doctors say, like I saw a very disturbing video of a doctor in one of New York's hospitals. And he's saying essentially we are not certain that the ventilators help necessarily. Because we might be pushing oxygen to lungs that cannot receive the oxygen. Because what the virus does, allegedly, it blocks the way for the oxygen to go through the lungs and to the bloodstream. And so the only thing I think that makes sense is that with time we'll know more.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully with that knowledge we'll be able to somehow work something out. But
Yeah, so I hear this.
Gonna brighten the light.
I hear this claim also coming from all sorts of people that like the idea is to just buy time, right? Whether or not it's in order to flatten the curve or it's to increase the chances of finding a vaccine, or just in general better understanding the virus, right? More time, the more we understand, the better we can tackle this thing.
Yeah.
But time, there's always a cost.
Yeah.
And that cost
Yeah,
needs
they're gonna
to be
find they'll have to find the equilibrium between time and cost.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that in my eyes, we've already taken a huge, huge hit. And I don't I don't know what the long-term effects of the hit to the, and people see it as a cynical concern, like, oh, the markets, like, the industry, oh, companies, money. It's like, money has a real impact on people's lives. The difference between you and the guy that's sleeping on the sidewalk downstairs is money. And so, I mean,
And
I don't know.
deodorant.
And deodorant, which, you buy
Yeah.
with money.
Yeah.
But yeah, the deodorant is more,
And you
is
can
more
make deodorant
felt.
from trees and
Eh,
dead hamsters.
I don't know what websites you've been reading, but I don't think that's how you make deodorant.
Okay. But that leads me to a discussion we had about companies.
Yeah.
Right? That I asked you about because if companies crash,
Yeah.
what's interesting about the coronavirus, it really reveals weaknesses. It reveals weaknesses of companies, of families, of individuals, and of states. So in Israel, for example, you see that our biggest weakness is the ultra-Orthodox community, and Gaza and the Palestinian Authority and refugees and but in companies, you see companies that cannot sustain a month without revenue, and they are getting closer and closer to bankruptcy. So I asked you, what do you think should be done with such companies?
You're
Remember?
talking about that. Well, first of all, on this note, before we continue, I want to tell our listeners about the fact that we have a new podcast out.
Oh, yeah.
We have a new podcast, guys. It's called Economize Me. It's sponsored by eToro. And it's a podcast that makes money make sense. It's all about, just the economics, money, the business world from my perspective.
Yeah, Aidan wrote it, and he's the host.
We wrote it.
Yeah,
we created
well, you did the
it.
heavy lifting, and I produced it and edited it.
Yeah.
We have a so guys, you can listen to the first 4 episodes, including a special episode about Corona and the markets, and we had amazing guests there.
Yeah.
Like Barry Schwartz from Berkeley, and Kevin Davis, who was the head of the biggest hedge fund in the world, and really
Krista Quarles, who
from
is CEO of Open Table.
Open Table.
Yeah.
Really spectacular guests, and it's very different from this podcast. It's good.
All right, so what's the comment?
So just search Economize Me wherever you get your podcasts, and let us know what you think. So on the Jewish Journal page, McPatty Langstone wrote, "Talk about small businesses. I own a business. I cannot work. If you don't care about small businesses, but we are the backbone of America, they let people go to every grocery store, and nobody's coming up sick. Come on."
Yeah. No, small business owners are definitely going to be, and this is speaking of our podcast, Economize Me. We're talking to Krista Quarles, the CEO of Open Table, and she was also kind of reiterating this point that small businesses are going to be the ones to take the hardest hit.
Yeah.
But to that question about business,
like big business.
Big
Like
businesses, but I
Boeing.
think it's big businesses and small businesses alike. If you're running a business, you're not necessarily, it's not like you have all this money, and this is also like a common belief amongst people that, see corporate America as this like evil, money hungry, elite that's just enslaving the poor. It's not like that. I think that if you have a business, small or big, a lot of that money that you're making, you're not just like, you're not making tons of profit necessarily, and you're just like putting it in a dungeon downstairs and you have this growing pile of gold. Mm-hmm. You're reinvesting it in research and development. You're reinvesting it into the...
You should save some for a rainy day.
I'm sure you can have a rainy day fund, but that's not like...
Especially if you're a huge company like Boeing or I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
But exactly. The question
American
is, how much
Airlines.
is your rainy day fund going to be? Your rainy day fund for a company like Boeing is not going to be enough to keep such a huge, massive enterprise afloat. Like, think about how many employees they have.
So you think
your rainy day
governments
fund
should help?
So okay,
save
so this was your question was the government should help to save businesses.
Yeah.
Well, I think that in America, corporate tax is something at like 21. It was lowered in 2017 thanks to Trump from like 35%. So which makes up for like, I think 35%. The corporations are paying 35%, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it makes up something like 10% of the United States federal budget.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a two-way street. If they're taking their money, then they need to help them out too. Right? So I don't think that I'm not big on taxes, so I think that if
You change the deal, you change the.
yeah, no, if you seriously lower corporate tax or you get rid of it altogether, then I think that and I don't know if I see a problem with getting rid of corporate tax. And by the way, that's not including payroll taxes. Payroll taxes is what I think that's another like 30% of the federal budget. What employees are paying from their payrolls.
Yeah. Here in Israel, small business owners got just about nothing. Are you
Yeah,
okay?
that's it. I should put my mask on.
Yeah. It's getting.
Now it's the right size. Yeah, they're not
yeah,
getting much.
you're not getting much. Yeah. And
They had a package.
yeah, but it was like most people.
Minor.
Yeah, most people didn't manage to get anything, and now they're changing it. But yeah, here people are doing pretty bad.
Aren't they supposed to give every person $500 shekels straight into their bank account or something?
If you have a kid.
If you have
kids.
kids. Okay.
Yeah. So
What, 500 per kid? No, 500
yeah, per kid.
Okay.
So it's basically again best for the ultra Haredi population, which is also problematic. It's problematic. And I heard today the Gafni, who's one of from the party of Litzman, the Minister of Health. It's the ultra-Orthodox party. He said, it's very important to to have an exit strategy and thinking about the kindergartens and the workplaces, but don't forget the synagogues. We gotta find a way to go back to praying. And, I was thinking to myself, we're doomed. We're doomed.
I wanted to keep away from it, but
we're doomed because the minute the ultra-Orthodox cities return to normality, we'll have a hell on earth again.
So I don't agree. I think that I'm uncomfortable with the way that that people are I don't know, talking about the ultra-Orthodox community. I mean, it reminds me of
Why? But you see that the ultra-Orthodox cities are the biggest outbreak centers in Israel. And that's just because, A, they have lots of children, and we know today that children spread coronavirus because most of them are asymptomatic and they spread it very fast. And B, you have the synagogues, and it's very crowded there in the yeshivas. That's how the virus works. It's just
no. So so first of all, I read this op-ed that the Haredi community definitely was slower to take to the recommendations, but eventually, I mean, you go to Bnei Brak today, you go to Jerusalem, the communities are on lockdown.
Yeah. You had to force them essentially.
No, I think that also a lot of leaders in the Haredi community had a reckoning, and they switched their rhetoric and they turned around. And
eventually, it took too long.
It took maybe 2 days, 3 days.
No, it took weeks. It took weeks, at least 2 weeks, and that time. Yeah. Now they're paying for that. Yesterday, a very big rabbi died, passed away, and they're paying the price in the end of the day.
I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't think it's fair to look at people as kind of perpetrators in this whole scheme, because in the end it's a virus and nobody's going out and intentionally coughing on someone else's face in an attempt to kill them. No one's stabbing someone. No one's committing overt crime. There are communities that are less connected to the scientific evidence and less connected to that culture. There is a culture around science, right? I mean, I don't think science itself is it's not pseudoscience. There is science, but there's a culture around it, and there are people who are more connected to science, right? Like me and you, and anybody working in Tel Aviv and high tech, whatever. These communities are less connected to that. It doesn't go into their heads that quickly that okay,
but that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah,
And now we're all
but
paying the price for that.
but the
It's a
the
problem that they're not connected to the world. That's what I said about revealing the underground problems of a society. Them being so detached. That's a huge problem because it has to do with all the other things that we had before coronavirus, like them not studying mathematics and English, them not participating in the work labor market, them not paying taxes. All has to do with each other. No.
Yeah, there are prices. There's a cost to everything. There's a cost to everything.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can force your way of life on them in a, like, again, lockdown is a coercive act in essence.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, as a general perspective, you can't look at them in like in blame to blame, for their way of life. There's a cost to it. They would look at us and say there's a cost to our way of life as well. And, I don't know. The whole attitude towards the Haredi, it doesn't it's not reminiscent of like anti-Semitic. We're Jews, but it's not reminiscent of anti-Semitic, like Eastern European.
Abroad, it certainly is. Like you see in Brooklyn, again, the same situation like here. It's one of the main places and there I think I think there is anti-Semitism, and in France now they're blaming the Jews for spreading the coronavirus. But here, I think it's different. Look, in the end of the day, they've been living their way of life, and we've been paying for it mostly. And they refuse to be a part of Israeli society. And in times like these, this is a test for a society. And if you're not a part of the society, you might fail the test, I feel.
Yeah, I think the last thing you can say about Haredim is that they don't survive the test of time. I mean, they've preserved Judaism and their way of life for centuries.
Look, the Haredi movement is relatively new.
What, 200-300 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's
devout
relatively
Judaism.
New. We're talking about the ultra-Orthodox, which is, guys, we got an email from one of our listeners.
It's a good time to...
Yeah, where he said, essentially, it was a very long email, but he was angry at me mainly for being for saying Haredim and not ultra-Orthodox. To him, it was very important to make the difference, and this is why I tried to do it today. Because of course they're Haredim and they're the ultra-Orthodox and they're more extreme. But he essentially said what did he say? He said that many things. Yeah, it was very, very long. But that it's not true that Haredim are not part of society, that they're living on our expense, and that they have many children, and everything I say is not true. So I accept the remark about saying ultra Haredim, and I'll try to say it. But I do think that you can generally say there is a problem with some of the Haredim and most of the ultra Orthodox here, like we said. So yeah.
What's the distinction between ultra Orthodox and Haredim?
For example, now with Corona, you had Haredim were really, like if you met, like you and I could be friends with them, and they're decent people, and they do listen to the radio, or they do get text messages or whatever, and they, when they were told to stay at home, they stayed at home. But then you had those extreme groups who refused to stay home, and you saw in Mea Shearim, you saw the sects, the extreme sects of Judaism, and they continued to go to the yeshivas, although even when there was military in the street, right? Mm-hmm. And you had to force them to disperse them by force. So I guess they are the ultra Orthodox, essentially.
Oh well. Yeah. So this whole thing, though, this whole mess is has kind of shaken things up in
The
a
politics.
political arena that was like
Yeah.
stagnant for a year. It was like
Yeah.
throwing a Mentos in a Coke bottle.
Yeah, we're recording this on
Yeah.
Monday night. And in 3 hours, Gantz's mandate to form a government is about to expire. And apparently
Crazy.
they're negotiating still to the last minute. No doubt Bibi has taught them what negotiations is all about, right?
Yeah, they got a crash course in
Exactly.
negotiation.
And yeah, they're
But
negotiating now as we speak.
as we speak. But the latest was that Blue and White is dissolved, right?
Yeah.
That happened about a week ago.
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks. Blue and White
Dissolved.
was
Lapid
the
went
party that was formed by Benny Gantz, Lapid,
right.
and two other
Ex-
chiefs of staff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was honestly one of the biggest success stories as far as like raising political constituency against a sitting, prime minister.
Yeah, but he managed to break them
Yeah.
into two.
They were what, 37, 38 at their largest?
Yeah, something like that. It's a 37, yeah.
And then 2 weeks ago, boom, Gantz just made the biggest, the
Rookie's
weirdest,
mistake.
weird. Like all of a sudden, all of his like lack of political acumen and his like, just his like newbiness came oozing out. You were like, wait, because you forgot for a year that he was a noob,
Yeah.
right?
And on Israeli Twitter, it was hilarious. Like all the reporters who hugged him and idolized him.
Yeah.
And talked on him as if he were the Messiah. Okay? All of a sudden, in a matter of minutes, he became public enemy number one.
Yeah.
And he was called a traitor by people who were just I cannot even describe to the listeners the 180 degrees turn.
To describe
U-turn.
it, there was a case that Gantz was involved in, a company that he had founded called the Fifth Element, which kind
Fifth
of
dimension.
Fifth Dimension, sorry, which kind of like got about 2 seconds of coverage throughout the last year, right? Well,
Bibi was talking about it all the time.
Yeah, but like the
But
mainstream
media
was
didn't
about
do
2
anything
seconds.
about it.
And
And then
there was this
the minute Gantz announced he's going to negotiate into Bibi's government, all the media was like, "What about the Fifth Dimension? What's going on with that case?"
So that's
So now it's unclear what's going to happen. So, in theory, in midnight, the mandate to form the government goes back to the president. Now, what he was supposed to do is to give it to Bibi, because that's what he did last time.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, he said that he's not going to give it to anyone. He's going to give it back to the Knesset, and then you have 3 weeks in which any Knesset member can get 61 votes, 61 signatures, and form a government. Anyone can do that. But that would be hectic, and maybe Bibi will be able to do it. He has two options, because he needs 2 votes. He has 59. So one is going to 2 right-wingers who were part of Blue and White, and then now they're by themselves.
Handel and
Hauser. Yeah, they both worked with Bibi a few years ago, and they left in bad terms. So relationships there are complicated. So they are very right-wingers, but they don't like the prime minister very much. And the other option is the 2 remains from the Labour Party, Amir Peretz, who was once the Ministry of Defense, and Itzik Shmuli, who was one of his number 3.
Those are the 2 remaining in the Labour Party?
There's another one, but she's far to the left, Merav Michaeli, and she will never...
Ah, you mean in the Labour specific, not in they joined forces with Meretz and who else?
Yeah, Meretz. And Gesher and Orly Levy, who
Gesher,
already
went.
Yeah, never mind. Anyway, so these are Bibi's 2 options: to bring these 2 or these 2. Now he can offer them a lot. Can offer them any ministry they want.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a lot to offer. Let's see what people write.
Let's see. Zelda Velez. Well, first, CJ Camrian said happy Passover. So
Thank
happy
you.
Passover to you, CJ. Zelda Velez, time for the elderly people with pre-existing conditions and anyone else too scared to venture out, stay home. Everyone else, get back to work, open schools, and start living again. And Marla Goodwin Zipper, listening to you guys, I do believe that intentionally disregarding health mandates for social distancing is criminally negligent. So here we have two quite opposing perspectives. It's actually good to see that coming up on the same, like one after the other. I like it when there's some disagreement.
If you're head of the state, in the end
Yeah.
of the day, you got to make a decision. You got to decide on a strategy. And if you fail, it's on you. So it's very scary. Think about it. If you had to decide which way to go to,
Yeah.
it's like sending your army to war, right? It's not an easy decision.
No, but that's exactly that's exactly maybe a very astute parallel, which is the fact that when you if you're living in a democracy and if you want to send your army to war, if you want to declare war on another country, in the United States, there's, I think, 60 days. So you can declare war, but you're not allowed to continue a military operation on foreign soil for more than 60 days without getting the approval of Congress, I think is the stipulation. I'm not exactly sure, but it's something along those lines. The idea being that declaring war isn't something that we're not in a dictatorship. You can't just, make decisions. You are appointed by the people to represent the people. And if you want to do something that drastic, you need the people's approval. And so I think that the idea of 60 days in war is because that a
safety net.
No, but a situation like that is you need to take immediate action. The difference of an hour can mean winning or losing in war. It's just a matter of someone dropping a bomb on one of your airline carriers, and that's a huge advantage. Or you know what I mean? Like there's that edge that's not taken into consideration with a pandemic. And I'm not sure that why hasn't there been a vote on these things yet?
There has been in the government.
No, but
not in the Knesset.
Exactly. In
yeah,
the Knesset.
because the government decides, not the Knesset. The
No,
Knesset is the legislator.
No, the Knesset needs to exactly, and these are actions that need to be. I mean, the Congress is also a legislator, but in order to take such drastic measures, you need to
not according to Israeli law. We
yeah.
have law. Here's the
That's
beauty
true.
thing.
Mendelblit was saying that you can't continue. The Attorney General was saying that you can't continue these kind of actions for too long without seeking the approval of the Knesset.
But eventually, they managed to do something.
Yeah. But there's an issue with it.
Yeah. But here in Israel, the beautiful thing is the Brits left us with an array of beautiful emergency laws that weren't changed since the mandate.
Like what?
The health emergency laws, for example, and censorship, the whole censorship. The minister can shut down newspapers. All kinds of weird laws for emergency. That's all.
Emergency.
Yeah.
That's why we need to. No, but that's seriously why we need to be alert at times like this, because emergency is used for a lot of.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, I agree. You should be alert. I agree.
A lot
but
of
I think we're
questionable
very alert.
stuff
Like
has been done.
The media here, essentially what they do every day is judge the decision and criticize the decisions and.
No, but that's actually the thing. What's weird is that with all their criticism and sometimes borderline hatred towards Bibi, in this crisis they almost turned around, like for a short moment, and still they seem to be kind of supportive of him in his, maybe around the edges there's some criticism, but like in generally speaking, the way he's been taking care of it, you haven't been hearing all that much criticism.
I have, but never mind. So back to the situation. So yeah, the parliament will have 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And probably the prime minister will try to get 61 votes. And I don't know. And then we go to fourth elections. Now the problem with fourth elections is that how we're gonna hold them. So they said in Wisconsin you had elections, primaries a week ago, and they somehow pulled it off. So we'll see.
I heard plans for gradual elections, or maybe it was just
Yeah, by
something,
the ABC.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous. I don't think it's ever gonna happen. But
you don't think so?
no.
What do you mean? So they'll take the whole country out to elections?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, elections.
people
If
will
elections happen, if another round of elections happen, they'll happen in about 6 months' time, which means around
no less.
end of
3.
September, middle
3
of
months.
September.
No, July. Unless they
Why? If they right now there's a month until we leave.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, and then another 3-4 months. So okay,
3.
so not
90 days.
it has to happen in 90
yes.
days. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 months from now. So which is what, August?
Yeah. End of July.
Yeah. If this situation is still happening in August, we're in
a big problem.
a big problem of another sort.
How was the Seder?
It was virtual. It was virtually amazing. No, it was unique. It was weird. It was
How do you reconcile your side and your girlfriend's side on the Zoom Seder?
so our family, my side is pretty religious, so they don't
But the Mizrahi rabbi said it's okay.
There was all kinds of stipulations, and like they basically said for the elderly so that they're not alone. No, but my parents are home with my younger sister who's living with them, so she's with them in the same house, and my grandmother also.
I hope I didn't just offend your parents. Called them. I don't want Gilbert to.
Why'd you offend them?
I called them elderly.
Well, you didn't explicitly say it until
but
just
now.
So, nice job shooting yourself in the foot. But no, they're not really in they're just after in the risk.
Mine are
risk
60
group.
also.
Yeah, but they're fairly healthy. They don't have any. I don't think they have any pre-existing conditions. So you can consider
they
them.
have you as a son. That's a pre-existing condition.
Yeah, but that doesn't put them at risk for corona.
For all the other things,
puts them at risk for
the mob to
yeah
annihilate them.
I'm not a mafia member. So they're religious, so they did it alone.
Okay.
We had a debate about whether or not we do it on Zoom, and then we did it with my girlfriend's family on Zoom, the Passover Seder. So that was interesting.
You had to read the whole thing?
Yeah, we went around. So some people read parts,
We didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Everybody, on the Echad Mi Yodea.
Yeah, and
so
there's
everybody's
delay.
on a different number.
Yeah, it's horrible. You cannot sing on Zoom.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
Does not work. How was yours? Did you do it with your family?
Yeah, on Zoom.
Ah, yeah?
Yeah. And my sister lives next door.
So you guys did it together?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
And we Zoomed with my grandparents. My grandfather is 84, I think.
Wow. So they've been locked up
for a long time.
Like they haven't
2 months.
They haven't left their house.
No, for 2 months.
And
but my grandfather is very technological.
Ah, okay.
So he has a tablet, he has a phone, so we Zoom. We don't Zoom, we do them on Facebook Messenger. But
nice.
and my parents, we did, but without the Haggadah. I told my grandfather we're gonna skip that. Yeah, it's no thank you. So we just ate.
You guys don't do the Haggadah?
I mean, every year.
You usually do?
My parents are always abroad. This is the first time they've been here on Passover since I was 5 or something. Wow. Yeah. So they never do it. And with my grandparents, we go to their, the family from my father's side, and then we do it.
Okay.
But this time it was only the 6 of us. We're an Ashkenazi family, right? Yeah. So it's a big family of 6 people.
Huge.
Yeah, and so we skipped. We skipped the Haggadah.
I don't think I could skip. It's like the whole point of the Seder, right?
I mean, I ate pasta.
Oh God, you're burning in hell. Oh no.
I hate pasta.
Where'd you get it on the black market?
Oh, I stocked.
I
just stockpiled it.
For Corona or for Passover?
Both.
Yeah, that's the thing. Noor has experience in stockpiling.
Yeah.
Before Corona.
Yeah. We're very Holocaust, affected. Nobody died in the Holocaust, but it affected us. So
maybe it's because of
my mother is so happy. She's like, all her life, she has in Hebrew, you have this word mezaveh,
pantry.
pantry.
Yeah.
And she has a huge one. She always had. And we always laughed at her. And now she's so happy because finally
she gets to stick it to you guys.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Finally it delivered.
That's
right?
funny.
Okay, anything else before we anything?
We have a few more comments, but
Okay.
I think Zelda and Maria are having a
Arguing.
bit of an argument, which is good. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's on Arutz Sheva, right? Right?
Yeah. It's a tough situation we find ourselves in, but let's hope that, sooner than later we get out of this.
Let's
and
hope we
get
won't
out of
die.
it. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of true always.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's hope
But you're
that,
lucky you get to you work full time, right? Or
Yeah. Yeah, I really am lucky. I have, a few friends that have been basically not fired, but put on leave without pay.
Yeah. Can you lend me 10,000?
Are you serious?
We'll talk about it later.
Awkward. No, so let's really hope that we get out of this as soon as possible. And guys, stay safe. Stay home if you need to. Stay home.
And,
if your government tells you to, stay home.
Unless you're in Sweden. In that case,
How come?
in Sweden they don't stay at home.
No lockdown?
No lockdown. It's the only country. Remember the British method?
They weren't there.
So it stopped happening in Britain, but the Swedes have implemented it, and now
I see.
yeah, and
Okay.
death is rising there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
On the up.
on the
On
up.
the up and up.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we hope that this crisis ends as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to get guests, guys. So, but we're working on it.
Yeah. So you might have to just hear us chatting
Yeah.
for a
That's
while.
also a possibility. So you got to cope with it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Before we go, we are collaborating with the Jewish Journal. They're at jewishjournal.com. And they have a special podcast. It's called Pandemic Times. And I think it's a daily show about
the virus.
the virus and life in LA and I guess in America.
Tune in. They also have the David Suissa podcast. Shmuel Rosner has a podcast. So check them out. jewishjournal.com.
And Arutz Sheva, they're at israelnationalnews.com. And they also have great, if you want to stay informed on what's going on in Israel in real time, check them out and also like their Facebook page because they bring
Great
loads of content.
And you'll also see us live on their
Yeah.
Facebook page
What
once
can
in a
you do?
while. So, yeah.
Something's got to give. And we accept donations. So please go to if you have money to spare.
Yeah.
Go to twinjb.com/donate and
Help
help
Noah
us
out so I don't
Yeah.
have to.
Exactly.
2njb.com/donate, guys. Help us out. We do this on our free time.
And check out the new podcast, Economize
Yeah,
Me.
Economize Me. Spotify,
so much fun.
iTunes. It really is. We put a lot of effort into it.
A
and
year.
It really came out.
A year.
Yeah, but we didn't work the whole year on it.
Yeah, but for a year we've been working on it.
But check it out, guys. Really, it's amazing. It's like timeless stuff. It's not topical, so it's it's relevant.
We're not objective. I mean, it's not the best thing I ever did, but Eitan, it's certainly
the best thing
it
I've
won't get better.
ever. Yeah, it's all downhill from here. But in these times, it's always good to be at the other side of the graph.
Right. No,
So-
you can die. You
Yeah,
did something.
that's it. I can get corona.
Yeah. Me, I still have things to do. That's it, right?
Yeah, I think
Did
so.
we forget anything? No.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
guys. So see you next time.
Bye, guys.